There was a website at the time, YouTubepoop.com. It would have videos on that front page. That website was run by one of the forum's founders named Conrad Slater.
For some reason, I had it in my head at the time when I joined the forum that everybody was around my age, maybe like 16, 17, 18. Conrad was the outlier. I knew he was in his 30s at the time. I know he was the one that was like older than all of us.
Conrad used to pick on me slightly, but it was, I feel like it was not mean. When he went away, there was a point in time in YouChew where he came back to write to some people. And when he wrote to me, I told him I was happy to see him again, or something along those lines. And then he just wrote back, "Have you finally grown up?"
The guy who created the YouChew forum, Conrad Slater, he was, 30 at the time.
Yeah, he's weird.
He was a very interesting character, just to read about and for people to sort of wax nostalgically about. He was always just a mysterious figure to me. I
was going to say, very Wizard of Oz behind the curtain guy.
So I was in my final year at film school, and I was really into remixing and collage. With music, there was Cassette Boy, Steinsky, podcast. One was called Some Assembly Required. There was another one called Do or DIY, and it was all about unusual subversive collage. Somehow I came across a video called, I'm a Doctor Who fan, it was called The Dalek Emperor Toast the Universe. It was by, what's his name, Pickaway? 64?
Pickaway,
right, that sounds right. And I had my own personal blog at the time, so I interviewed him for the blog, just a text interview. So this was in 2006. I would have been late 20s. It was so interesting because I didn't understand it. I had lots of explosions. It was very tactile, very aggressive, and it's like, this is fantastic. And I was like, this is amazing. So I found out there was a few more people doing these amazing videos, and we're called YouTube Poops. But like now, there isn't really a community backbone on YouTube. So that's how we set up a website to sort of service them. And also because, now more formally I'm a marketing person, bringing people together, you can turn audience into customers, and then you can serve that niche and that community. And that was a pretty radical idea at the time, but now it's quite common. Like nowadays, I'd have a Shopify on that website, and maybe a Redbubble, a t-shirt thing or something, or we'd make some white label dropship cologne, like Mario's fart or something. There was none of that then. You had to be really clever to make money. I think I researched it and I realized there was no domain name. There was YouTubepoop.com was available for $15. Well, all right, I'm having that. Someone's going to come along. They'll want to buy that, I can sell that. And I think because my final year at college, there was no lectures or anything, so people were just sitting in their rooms anyway, not much to do, so you could just sit there all day. It suited my lifestyle.
What was Conrad like?
I mostly saw him as the like I said, the curator of the forum. He ran it. I treated him like an adult rather than everybody else who I kind of acted like an idiot because we were teenagers. He clearly thought there was potential to it. He saw something in YouTube Poop that I didn't, and I respected him for that.
It sounds like your role in the website was head moderator, or were you just one of the moderators?
Administrator. In that situation, democracy, voting for things, that was horseshit. I was fully accountable for everything. I don't know, CEO? I think because I paid for it, and it was my full-time job, that's why I was fully accountable, really.
Conrad Slater private messaged me on YouTube and told me he was making a website for YouTube Poop. And my immediate gut reaction at the time was, this is a bad idea. I know Conrad opened the site in June 2007, so if I received this in May 29th, that was probably like a week or two before he launched YouTubepoop.com. I had been around these sort of communities for a while, and even forums that I was on back then, back in 2004, 2005, it's inevitable. They always fall into infighting, and something happens that ends up kind of tearing the community apart. So I'm thinking in the back of my mind, this is not going to end well. Why do I want to join this? And then 2 weeks later, I'm just like, screw it. I'll join it anyway. I'm looking for some people to chat with because why not?
Were you invited by Conrad Slater to join YouChew?
That is correct. That was through YouTube DMs as well. Once again, lots of time. I remember him asking me, he was like, gather around people in the YouTube poop community and create a forum.
Oh yeah, I remember like the really old website like YouTubepoop.com, which would just be like a little front page with a couple of YTPs that were handpicked by someone. Always thought that was really interesting.
I just remember there was a version of YouChew that was like very plain white looking site. I think it was like 13. They were a weird bunch.
Back in the day, we used to call it vanilla. That was vanilla.youtubepoop.com. It was a fun forum to be on. The most fun forum I was ever on back then. You had to know HTML to really post anything. In order to even post images, you'd have to do like left bracket image equals URL and then like slash right bracket. It'd be like you'd basically be programming the post yourself. The forum was such a fucking mess, but that's why it was so fun.
It was a mess. It was kind of like a mix of bad and good things. Back then we had YouChew, but like in very primitive form. I registered on the forum to kind of get feedback on my stuff and get inspiration, suggestions, just kind of interact with other people who were making this stuff. I was on there at quite an early age, I think like 2007, 2008.
When I was learning Photoshop, a very influential book was called Secrets of the Pros. And I realised it was just Photoshop tennis matches. So you would just sort of go, well, they've done this and they've changed that design, and then it goes to the next round, and this person's inverted it and moved that element there, and it was a design thing. And I was like, how clever that this, because it's competitive but collaborative, and as a surrealist game, there's never a winner. Like, right, okay, I'll do this for YouTube Poop. This is when it became a thing that you could download each other's YouTube Poops.
Yeah, YTB tennis is really cool. One person making a video, and then the next person downloads that video and remixes that. So you have like this iterative scaling up, escalating series of videos where each one gets more and more insane.
So I just started that up as another thing, right? This week we're doing this.
The first game was played between Conrad Slater and Miscellaneous 10. Rabbit Snore was extremely influential in bringing YouTube Poop Tennis, building the scene, the culture, the foundations into the fray.
They say the best tennis person, they say me and several friends, the best tennis person was a guy called Microprocessor.
When I was first starting out with YouTube Poop, I was kind of fascinated by YouTube Poop Tennis, so I would try to participate in a lot of those things.
And I did one tennis, it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I sort of wish I did more.
Definitely tennis was the most fun I had making YouTube Poop.
The running joke with tennis was that you had to make a really long and stupid title. The other opponent would have to play along with that some way.
It's actually quite rare to see anyone outside of YouChew who was playing tennis. Like, YouChew kind of kept tennis alive. It was actually very rare to see like Goop Videos and Emp Lemon play tennis, or Jimmy Davis and MP Carlson play tennis. We were like, holy shit.
They never did that good view-wise because even for YouTube Poops, they're a bit more esoteric than that. Compared to just like talking to each other in the forum of an edited video, it sounds very strange, but that's kind of how I visualize it.
People being like, join our collaboration, which there's nothing wrong with that. I always wish I joined a collaboration.
So you never did a collab or tennis?
I never did.
What I've been trying to do with people, and they've been appreciative of it, is some of the smaller YTP channels than me even, like the one I mentioned, Repulsive Reject, wanting to do a collab with me, is I kind of like to help those channels out too, and try to help them kind of get a bigger name as well.
In recent years, I saw a massive improvement in the quality control of YTP collabs. Back in the days, YTP collabs, we put all those super awesome entries at the beginning so that you can retain viewers. But when we move to the end of the collab, the entry quality tends to be very bad.
I hosted the Crawling collab.
Yeah.
Right when the fad was starting, it just like blew up. It was like an open collab, which open collabs are like notoriously like just dog shit because, you know, it's just a bunch of random fucking people. And there's no quality control at all because you're just accepting anything.
Are there any like, oh, if you're talking collabs, you gotta watch, this is the best collab?
Through the Fire and Flames collab, the What Is Love collab, it still holds up. Running in the 90s collab was good. Popcorn collab, forgot about that one. Dawsey and Bacon made a 2-person collab called Sidewalk Pizza Crimes, and that one is fucking insane. It has like really great visuals, and it took them like 3 years.
My favorite thing has become, no longer is it sitting alone and making a video, it's collaborating.
We were saying earlier about like our attention spans, and I think collabs are kind of the answer. Seeing a single song be interpreted 25 different times. That's what I love about collabs, is when you can see how many people come together and make their own reiteration of a certain song or a certain source.
I love that collaborative thing. When artists collaborate, it can be fantastic.
YouTube had for a little bit were the reply videos, but it's totally gone now.
Yes, no, they cut that. And again, you're seeing that on TikTok.
Happy Star Wars Day, everyone. Today is also my birthday. And because it's my birthday, I get to introduce you to my girlfriend. Happy Star Wars Day, everyone. Today is also my birthday. And because it's my birthday, I get to introduce you to my girlfriend.
You're not just getting a comment, oh, that's nice, lol, at 105. You're getting something back. You're getting a video back. So that was fun. It was just games. It was just mucking around.
We have these communities within these spaces. So, you know, pre-digital archive, shelves, books, whatever. Database, post-digital archive, we have each other. So it now becomes a conversation between people. And so I think that kind of collaborative nature, which is really expressed through YTP, I think is really an advantage, because now, you know, it becomes far more complicated. I had the TV listings, I knew what was on that day, I knew it was on that day, and then it was gone forever, so I watched it or I didn't watch it. Now we have everything, so we need to have some way of kind of picking our way through the everything. You know, yourself, you might go, I want to relax, I want to watch something, and you sit in front of the YouTube search engine and go, what do I want to watch? You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have those kind of, you know, parts of our community where people are saying, listen, watch this, really important.
We like share videos are like, wow, I saw this video, this was really funny.
We had a channel called The Family Lawnmower, and that channel became Secret Salad Society, which became our vid community. We all have access to the same account, and we just upload whatever. We'll go in a Skype call and we'll just spitball jokes like our writer's room and like upload videos and videos and videos.
Back then, sending fucking like any file of like 20 megabytes or larger was a pain in the ass, and it would take like well over like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes just to download it. So we're like, okay, whatever. Let's just make a channel.
Because it was shared hosting. I lasted 6 months before it's like, no, too many people are using this. It's just, you know, and it just got, as more and more people came over the year, I had to upgrade twice and transfer things. And I learnt about webmaster stuff just because I had to, because it was an emergency, because it kept crashing, or, you know, or they kept trying to charge me more money.
What was the actual demands of being the administrator when the site was in its heyday?
First thing in the morning, it would be a matter of like, is the site up? Has it been hacked? There was loads of
DDoS?
Yeah, there was loads of that.
This happens kind of frequently. Like the site would get DDoSed by members who were previously banned, or just members who didn't care for the community.
Well, is the site there? Yes, it is. Has anyone been banned? Has anyone been... It's a place on fire. I'd have 20 or 30 emails. One of the core points of what I was doing was to get outside people in. And then I have the archive, the actual YouTube poop archive. There was like listed YouTubers or poopers and I'd see if they had made any videos over that last 12 hours since I've been asleep, and they'd all have to be posted onto a WordPress site, which was the archive. And at first it was fine because it was only like 1 or 2 a day be added, but in the end it was like 20 or 30 videos all had to be posted, and watched them. Fuck yeah, I had to fucking watch them, of course, just to know what was going on. And then in the afternoon I'd try and make a video.
Did you pick the name YouChew?
Yes, loads of accounts got closed. There was a big purge. YouTube did a big purge. It was just a DRM purge. I really thought that YouTube was going after us, which is fair enough. And the website was youtubepoop.com. You know, like with music, you just do a note or two differently, and then it's different enough.
For some reason or another, they let the URL lapse in like 2012, something like that, 2011. It's funny because that URL is so expensive now. Not because of YouTube Poop, but because anything that has the name YouTube in the URL now is like insanely expensive to buy. Essentially, the site just became YouChew. That's long and short of it of how YouChew kind of came to be.
I think I was on the toilet actually when I thought of YouTube Poop. I just thought it was awful, and it was, you know, and it suited the vile nature of YouTube Poop. So, and I thought it's a cheap, puerile joke as well, so that will go down quite well.
Mr. Simon came along around the summer of 2006, and I don't know if he found my videos on YouTube or if he found them on Cheesy Art.
I was an active member on cheesyart.com, and I happened to stumble across this short that Super Yoshi had put together for Cheesy Art called something like Adventures of Super Mario Remixed or something like that, but it's now commonly known as Hot on Our Tail.
He made a comment on Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 Remix on Cheesy Art that said, like, this is the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
I was in fits of laughter, and that was sometime before YouTube Poop.
And then we sort of got back and forth talking on MSN, and that's when he decided to start submitting stuff to YouTube.
Me and Conrad, he reached out to me shortly after creating his first website, youtubepoop.com. He was very keen to interview me with a bunch of questions and feature me on his new website. And I responded within the day and joined the website by the end of it.
It was Mr. Simon. He got the idea of branding it. He made a logo. He made a slogan, where there's smoke, they pinch back, and there was idents.
He ordered a radio announcer, and his ident, YouTube Poop. Where there's smoke, they pinch back.
It's a YouTube Poop. You know, it's a thing. That was, I think, was Mr. Simon.
I remember when Mr. Simon made waves with his YTPMV video, people found that extremely interesting and felt like it was a new genre of, you know, YouTube poops and all that.
Stay here while I bring up my cap. Stay here while I bring up my cap. Stay here while I bring up my cap.
Do you know who Mr. Simon is?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've never talked to him, but I know of him.
I guess Mr. Simon, when it comes to Just the West, is the earliest trace that we've gone to when it comes to YTPMV.
Mr. Simon was a very aggressive creator. Confrontation aggressive, and he's bang on the money for YouTube Poop.
Windows movie making some balls.
Within the space of a week, at the end of October 2007, he posted an article detailing the Holocaust, which was his effort to ban and exclude particular creators and content from the website for being bad. I think bad content should exist so you learn how to create good content. I think I got under his skin because I rebelled by putting a lot of CSS code into my messages on the website. It would cause intense disruption when you were viewing the website. There'd be like scrolling text and giant text just interfering with the vision. I think maybe it went a bit too far because I think I accidentally locked the ability to press the delete button. But as well as that, I think I was just spamming the website with every CDI poop I could find. That was my idea of like anarchy in response to that.
From him, I learned that trolling increases engagement.
Trolling increasing engagement. I think to some degree, Absolutely. And it's really disappointing, but it's human nature. I think CGP Grey made a video on this.
Angry germs, the more they're shared, undergo the same process, changing and distorting to be more aggravating. These have a better chance of spreading than their possibly more accurate, but probably also more boring rivals.
The biggest thing that drives engagement is anger, and we've seen that in society on the whole in the last 15, 20 years. As people have become more connected, social media platforms have been pointed to for fueling and promoting anger because it's the thing that drives engagement.
Just been to the gym, I'm fat, I'm knackered, and I suck at YouTube poop, so get used to it.
Most dealings I had with him was awful. I was terrified of him, and he was aggressive.
So the people are like saying, ooh, you're giving YouTube poop a catchphrase, screw you. Okay, old.
YouTube poop, where there's smoke, they pinch back.
No. Okay, shut up.
I realise that he's absolutely on the money, and I have to be much more nasty to people in order. And it's awful. It's a simple lesson, but back then it was fairly new. So it was important for that website to have flame wars. It was important to have raids and controversial things, because within that environment of anger and frustration came amazing things and creative ideas and loads of fuck you and loads of bile and vitriol, and that's the fuel for those videos.
After that whole Holocaust fiasco on YouTube, once I was banned, I just didn't have any more involvement on the site whatsoever after November 2007.
Were you ever on YouChew at all?
No, I wasn't ever on YouTube. That was something that was a little bit before my time.
I've heard about it, but I've never been.
I was only on YouTube. I never went on any forums or spoke to any people like that.
You know, I was familiar with it, but I don't even know if I ever made an account.
I made an account at one point thinking I was going to be active on there because I thought, like, this will give me some insight into what other people are doing with their YouTube poops. But the more I browsed the forums and the more I looked at the community, I was like, I don't think there's anything for me here. I think I'm just going to keep doing my own thing.
I avoided YouTube like the plague.
Sometimes I would look around YouTube, I wasn't on there a lot. Mostly I was around the Chew Wiki, looking for inspiration. So I was really sad when YouTube died and the Chew Wiki went down with it.
I personally was never specifically a part of YouTube, but I lurked on YouTube. Eventually, I'd get involved with my own end of the community.
The pedantic pricks at the YouChew forums have to open their mouths constantly about how bad of a person I am for being popular. I'm fucking sorry people like me, YouChew. What a crime! God forbid YouTube poop ever be more than a stupid self-indulgent inside joke shared by tens of people. I'm fucking sorry I sent new people to your forums in earnest, which you proceeded to shit on for not being from 2009. I'm fucking sorry it's not 2009 anymore. I'm sorry that time fucking exists and it causes things, including YTP, to change.
I was on the YouTube forums, but I wasn't a regular user. I'm more of a lurker.
Finding out that other people are doing it to a point where it's a lot of other people were doing it was YouChew, which I know is a site that holds a lot of weight, and not a lot of people had good experiences there. I don't even think I had a very good experience there, but it was the catalyst for finding out that it was more than videos, that it was people.
I had an account in YouTube, but I was not very active on YouTube. And I know that YouChew has some problems regarding the toxicity going on in there.
I didn't vibe with a lot of the stuff that was going on in there. It seemed like there were a lot of jokes and things that struck me as either distasteful or simply I wasn't in on, and so I just felt very much like an outsider.
I was on YouTube, but I was very young at the time, and I wasn't very confident in my English speaking ability, so I didn't post much. I remembered a few times I got posted. I probably got blasted.
I went on to YouTube very often. I went on way back in 2007, and I showed my very first videos on the website. So when I put it up there, it was, you can only imagine what kind of comments that I got. It was naturally crap. I see that in hindsight now, but at least I was proud of it.
It's amazing on Facebook now that people can just, with their own name, can say awful, racist and violent things. But back then, because you were Gamer Blob 2035 or whatever, then it didn't matter. It was just an anonymous bit of hate, and you kind of just got used to it. It didn't really matter because you turn the computer off, but then some wouldn't. So I think that is the negativity from that community. Now they call that toxic culture, and a lot of people got hurt from that toxic culture.
I didn't really know how to act around that, and a lot of the people in that group kind of liked being sarcastic anyway, and I just didn't understand it. But I remember when I posted on the forums, there were a lot of people that'd be like, "You did this wrong," or "Oh, this is not actually YouTube poop. This is wrong."
Did you feel like a bully?
Yes. I just kind of saw it as text for a while, and it was just like people talking, and you could tell through my editing like when I was using that forum and when I wasn't.
You've made at least 2 videos that I've seen about Deeper Cut.
Deeper Cut, a total mess, and we all know it. But we can start doing something about it by voting yes on propositions Deeper Cut and Deeper Cut.
The whole thing is basically just an inside joke. The one with the, fuck you.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
He was quite aggressive in his posts. I think maybe threatened to sue people or something. And that's where the whole lawyers.com thing came from.
I remember people tried to knock on Walrus Guy. My gripes with the community comes from a little bit of, there's a bit of an elitist view.
I felt so bad for guys like Walrus Guy at the time who were getting so much shit from people who were super popular and Deeper Cut and stuff like that.
There was constant need to have banter, but people on that site, they took things so seriously.
You had a term for these what he called feral monkey children. And there was an image, the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz with a children's face photoshopped on top of it that said things like, "Where can I get Mr. Simon's YouTube poop ident? How do I download stuff off of Quebec Gamers?" I think it needed that older kind of curator that Conrad was. I think he did a really good job keeping us in check and kind of making the website based on YouTube poop.
The forum had fairly strict moderators. I know that doesn't make sense from what I've just said, but different sections of the forum were moderated by different people and in different ways. There was an art section where you would do fan art, and that was some beautiful and amazing stuff. And when you think of someone drawing and colouring in, you don't think of them swearing and being racist and homophobic. You just think of them being nice people. And so no swearing, and not in that section. And it was a beautiful, wonderful thing to see. That sort of wasn't tolerated. So you can still be hateful without swearing and attacking people.
Just one thing that I'll always remember, which I think is one of the funniest things that ever happened on the forum. There was a user on the forum that went by the name Pimps Ahoy.
Pimps Ahoy.
He must have been 12 or 13. So you have this guy that's just starting shit with everyone and just kind of being a troll. That's just Pimps Ahoy being pimps.
This big whole controversy about making Pimps Ahoy a moderator as a joke.
Conrad, out of the blue, just decided to make him a moderator on the forum in what we referred to as the Mods Ahoy incident. It was a free-for-all back then.
This is the story of May AIDS.
May AIDS was a Finnish YouTube pooper who was more known for being a troublemaker on the forum than anything else.
In order to know about May AIDS, you had to be in the loop of the YTP community. He was a fairly enigmatic user in the early days of YouChew, the YouTube poop forums. He was most active on YouTube from 2007 to 2008.
They made videos that were popular, but the thing was, they would constantly close their YouTube accounts so that the only way to really find their new videos was because they would post them on the forum.
He had about a dozen accounts banned from YouTube, and those are just the ones we know about.
May AIDS was someone who had 20 accounts or something at the time, constantly switching accounts, closing accounts. It was a real challenge to actually keep track of them.
It's funny, May AIDS was very popular, but only in that forum community.
From what I can tell, May AIDS' style was very chaotic and unpredictable, much like the individual himself. He also made a lot of sex jokes, which would explain his reportedly degenerate taste for anime furries, and anime furry porn.
Actually, from what I've heard, they're not too proud of their past with YTP. It's not something they usually like talking about.
May quickly established himself as the most notorious troll in YTP history. There was this one time when May fabricated an entire account and persona called Toby Said It just to troll the YTP community. He intentionally made a bunch of stupid, controversial rants, got attention, baited a bunch of angry comments, and in the end, he revealed that he was actually May AIDS the whole time.
Do you remember the hack when it happened?
Yes, I was there that day.
I was there when it happened. I remember I was so hyped for that entire day. I was like, no way, dude, somebody from YouTube Poop fucking hacked YouTube. I can't believe this. Something for the YouTube history books and done by a YouTube Poop community guy.
YouTube got hacked, and May AIDS was responsible.
Basically, ADHD Yoshi came up with the program that allowed you to change any thumbnail on YouTube. You would just insert the video ID. Basically, anything you uploaded would change that video ID's thumbnail. It wasn't like this grand scheme of hacking YouTube. It was just ADHD Yoshi found a weird exploit and let a friend run wild with it.
Many of the videos involved in the hack were popular YouTube poops, a disproportionate amount. Additionally, one of the hacked thumbnails was changed to an image of Conrad Slater, the founder of the YouChew forums.
We knew something was going on in the sense that, like, somebody from this community has to be involved. Because all of the thumbnails...
The thumbnails are being changed to a photo of a guy, I think his name is Domino Suzuki.
He's a musician that ADHD Yoshi was a fan of. Piano-chan. It's from an anime called Onegai My Melody, which was a source that May used all the time. There was a forum post on YouTube when it was happening. I remember making a post that said something along the lines of like, May, if this is you, show me a sign. And what it was they had changed the thumbnail to I'd say he's hot on her tail to John Madden. And that's when I knew, okay, this is May.
There are still a few surviving videos out there on YouTube right now with a hacked pink anime goat thumbnail. You just have to know where to look.
I specifically asked May AIDS to like mess up my thumbnails actually. And I mean, he just went ahead and did it. So I'm not changing those thumbnails ever. Those are staying like that. Intensive glug unit, and then there's the Ivy bot destroys the economy or something.
May was kind of like an enigma in the community for a very, very long time. And I thought at the time that was kind of part of the fun, in that like you don't really know who this person is. They sort of personified what I thought YouTube poop meant. It's a mystery. Like, you don't know what the person on the other end is really thinking as far as like what their purpose for that video is. I find that the most fun aspect of YouTube poop is just like the strangeness of it.
He stuck around for a few more years, and then around 2012, he vanished. Some YouTuber wanted to make sure May AIDS was not forgotten, so they tried compiling all of this May footage scattered across YouTube onto one account known simply as the May AIDS Memorial. Then the real May came back and submitted 3 fake copyright claims and terminated the account. But what can I say? That's just the kind of guy May was.
Did it bother you that you were kind of this hated person?
No, I had a few like deathy threat things. My Whois had my name on, so they would use my number. I suppose it did upset me a bit because it got in the way of me doing my work. And people hacking the site, they'd hack the site to annoy me, and that got in the way of everyone else.
Sadly, the days of Pimps Ahoy where it was just all in good fun, they had kind of like gone away in like the early 2010s, where it was just like these people were like seriously fucking pissed off about the forum in some way or another. Almost always because they were banned in some way.
I accepted that was the job, that I had to be a troll. I had to accept I'm gonna get some hate back, and that was fine. I was at peace with that, really. Know Your Meme was an important thing in those days, and then Know Your Meme got sold to Cheeseburger for $1 million. I was like, shit, I gotta sell this for $1 million. And I just wanted money to eat, really. I wanted money to keep it going, because I knew the clock was ticking. And I wanted to build it up, and I wanted proper internet people, technology people, for for the server because it was growing and growing and it just couldn't sustain because it was always crashing.
Because it had thousands of pages of content. I mean, it's huge. It was enormous.
Just to pay people, because a lot of people giving up their time to moderate the forums. And that was the only reason I had to back out, because I ran out of money. I was doing it for a year and a half, full time, and it was my startup, it was my work, but it was all self-financed.
How much did the entire venture cost you?
I was living with my parents, so I don't know what rent and food would be. Yeah, say $2,000. There was lots of areas which would normally be taken up with, say, you put in Google ad banners, and I think we weren't allowed to have Google ads. So I would get users to design little boxes. So there was loads of it was user-generated content. The header alternate, and I think I had it set up so I had a good few hundred of these headers, and it would just rotate every time you loaded the page. So you think it was very colourful by the end of it. So it started off me and ended up there.
I think Conrad started realizing that maybe the forum was outgrowing him, maybe he outgrew the forum. So he decided to hand the URL to Rabbit Snore and There Is No Spoon.
The people who took over hated the drama, and they wanted a fair, even, honest, democratic community, and they talked about things and vote for things and such like. Completely watered it down and made it more like any other gamers forum. I wish that the art people on the forum who were making nice, clever fan art had spun off to a decent community, and I'd have gone with those guys and been polite and supportive. Because those people didn't have any anger. They just wanted to make nice art and celebrate gaming culture and celebrate ideas that watching those videos had had. And that's a shame, because I think more people could have, it could have been much bigger. It definitely could have been much bigger. As far as I know, once I left, I think that culture of strict moderation stopped, and I suppose it would have got more toxic and more uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah. Dealing with divorce and change and school and all these things that just were not easy for a kid, and then having to juggle people that were, just ill-willed and malicious, not even understanding why. The truth behind those videos is they're a cope for like a lot of things I needed to be positive in my life. I liked making other people happy. I didn't like seeing people get upset. I remember when I did the Orpheus for the Win video, somebody sent me a DM where all it said was, "Hey," and it said, "Watch." And I clicked the link, and it had the intro sequence to the Skooks collab. Like it showed like our logos at the beginning with that Hanna-Barbera sound. And then it just cut to a video of a bunch of guys murdering a pig. There were like threads where people would be like, "Oh, post your parents. Here's funny little threads. Post pictures of your parents, haha." And I don't know if this should be outright said, but like people would take those pictures and like they'd like somehow find the sources of where they're from and then take the information. And it'd be like a doxing thing. Like some people would look at that and be like, "Oh, I have all this information." He's
not exaggerating. There are some people in the community that were like actively stalking people.
What bothered me was when like there was one time where my mother found it, and she's like, "Why is my boy being talked about here?" And not being able to explain it really hurts. And I have friends that I still talk to from that scene. Like, if you think my reaction to that is bad, like I have friends that can't even like face to tell you this stuff.
Would you go to a YTP panel if they had one today?
No.
I describe a lot of the YouTube poop people I've encountered as very weird people. I'm a very weird person. It's good for making the videos, but outside of that, a lot of the people are not very personable. I don't mean they're like antisocial or like introverted or anything. It's just that in my experience, a lot of the people I encounter in the community, they're like not the kind of people that you want to interact with in real life.
And YouChew, like I stopped focusing on that, but I heard like horror stories about like illegal things that happened there. Being the age I was at and like just realizing that kind of stuff, I just couldn't put it together. there was some scary people there. Like guys that would want to kill me, or guys that would want to groom some friends of mine. Like I've had some very bad experiences with that.
We have to look at the internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed.
With YouTube poop all of a sudden becoming like a weird, creepy filter that was exposing kids to all this awful stuff, you can't help but wonder, did someone see that and realize I can direct children to places that they might not normally choose to go?
One of the reasons that YouChew changed and at first shut down was because of an egregious abuse of power by a then moderator against someone who did not know any better. There was a moderator who was sending private messages to another user, and that user was someone who was young. It became something where he was being groomed. It changed him in such a dramatic way, a tragic way. And we never learned about it until he came back and he told us his story.
I think any community that has a user base that will be primarily underage, I don't want to say it's an inevitability, but like, you know, you have to watch out for these things. And I guess at the time I was young enough to think that like, oh, that can't happen. You know, I trust all of these people. You know, it's one of those things where when you get older and you start to realize that, you know, the world's not as nice as you think it is.
Part of the reason that YouChew went away was because as soon as that topic was made, as soon as that story was told, there was a discussion about whether or not YouChew should continue. And part of the dialogue was the fact that you had younger people integrating with older people, the potential for abuse, which is something that I think is a legitimate concern.
People weren't really concerned about predators back then as much as now.
Things are so different now with the way the internet works and the way that like people's information can be found and all this other stuff. Like, you know, people didn't actively like dox or stalk people back then.
I've been pretty lucky. Sometimes I'll talk to like some of my West PMV friends and they'll be like, well, you know, back in this chat, they were doing this, threatened to kill themselves or whatever, and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't go through any of that. I just lived in like blissful ignorance, you know, laughing at jokes, you know, I popped into chats whenever I wanted to, you know, I didn't live on them or anything.
It took me years afterwards to realize, oh wow, I got groomed multiple times because I allowed these people who were like 10 years my senior to take advantage of me because I was originally fans of them. Like I came in the community being fans of them, and so I was too busy being starstruck to realize, oh, this is a problem. That was like the big like slap on the face wake-up call, being like, oh shit, I'm like the victim of grooming right now, like this is illegal. One of the biggest reasons is I think Skype was a heavily unmonitored program. You could get away with anything on that site. I've seen people do drugs on there. I've seen people expose themselves to children on there. Despite that program being owned by Microsoft, you could do anything. I think as kids, we kind of had like a sense of freedom that was like the one part of the internet like our family wasn't watching us on. I do agree pedophilia is a mental illness in some cases, but I also think it's just an extreme version of laziness. A lot of the people that I got groomed with had a dating history of people that were their age. Now they're just online because they've completely given up, and online, like, internet culture has teenagers more than anything, so they get in contact with them. And teenagers aren't like adults. Teenagers are easier to impress. Teenagers have more spare time than the average person. These pedophiles usually don't have anything going for them. In their off time, they're just at their house online. So when they see these teenagers, they can talk to them any time of the day.
So why would a man with so much to lose risk everything to meet a child for sex? Dr. David Marcus, a clinical psychologist who treats men with sexual compulsions, says it's a powerful addiction.
They don't know what's driving them. All they know is they're being driven and they can't stop. And to risk themselves so greatly clearly shows how powerful a ride that is.
Listen, I have had a problem with an internet addiction talking with the females.
Most guys don't go on the internet and say, you know, I'm going to decide to ruin my life today. Most guys go on and say, I need something to make myself feel better. And they're not conscious of what they're doing.
And Dr. Marcus says there are different reasons men choose to meet children for sex.
Some, and this may be a minority, have a primary attraction to that age group. Others are more looking for a situation where they could feel powerful, where they can, again, explore parts of themselves, try to do things in a situation where there is a power differential.
You've seen it before on like Dateline NBC with Chris Hansen. When they get interrogated, they always ask them, why do you like younger people? And I've seen a few of them be like, yeah, I had no luck with girls my own age, and 13-year-old girls have way more spare time than people my age that are so focused on their careers instead of relationships. Most extreme version of giving up and being lazy.
Why then chat up a 14-year-old girl and come to visit her?
I'm lonely.
Being lonely, having no girlfriend, physical contact with anybody.
I would prefer to have someone my age that would prefer to have me.
I mean, I've been trying to find a good woman my age. I really had.
The truth is, after 20 years, as I mentioned, of doing this, they're not all the same guy. You've got, in my opinion, 3 different categories. The hardcore heavy hitter, who'd be doing this sort of thing with or without the internet. You've got a young person who's inept socially, who goes after a younger target, who says things online they wouldn't say face-to-face, and they end up in this inappropriate relationship or trying to get in one. And then you've got a guy in the middle who might be attracted to younger boys or girls, but wouldn't do this without the internet, the addictive nature, the 24/7 access, the ability to be someone online who would embarrass them if they conducted themselves that way in real life.
People can do so much worse to you now, and I find that to be a really lucky point in my life to look back on and just be like, I'm kind of glad that me and my friends are kind of out of that. It's really something that you had to have been there to see for yourself. My friends that don't have a good view on that, it's one of those things where it was like, we never speak of this again. I don't know the full truth of it. I just know that I was there, I saw some of it, and I'm out.
Past 2019, we've pretty much gotten rid of anybody who we know or anything that is like a scumbag or like has these like extreme problems that just can't be remedied, like like pedophilia or whatever.
YouChew shut down in 2018, and since then what's left of the community has kind of migrated, bifurcated across all sorts of different things. Many people on Discord, a lot of them went to Kiwi Farms.
I think he's been on a downward spiral mentally. My accent shifted in 2008 because of Stuart K. Riley. I was that obsessive over it. I commented something like 75 times on one of his videos, replying to people to the point that he just blocked me.
Oh my God!
So I decided to sign up for YCP just around 18 or so. It was pretty welcoming, though of course I did notice the elitism there, cliques forming within the site and stuff like that. Yeah, when I got banned by that time, I thought it was both hilarious and sad at the same time because I was just getting cut off from a bunch of people I knew, even though I knew they despised me by that point. If I saw myself doing what I did there today, I would be annoyed at myself too. What got me banned was, when I was on Tumblr, I was friends with Dumpless Duango, whatever the hell he goes by. He asked me to go prank some people on Tumblr meaning on anonymous asks. He sent me 2 profiles on Tumblr, and I was just going, oh, that user is trans now. Okay, I didn't think anything of that at the time. Then I saw what the other messages in people's asks were on Anon, and I could tell that he was the one doing that. And I was just like, oh my God, what are you doing? These are death threats. What the hell are you doing? And then I got banned for offsite harassment because of that, because it somehow got linked back to me. He basically got me in trouble for something that I thought was like just a harmless prank. Then I realized it wasn't.
The point of what he was doing was to send death threats to a trans person.
Yes, his obsession with trans people, I just don't get it. A-logging is when you fixate on something innocuous and blowing it up out of proportion to the point where it's like, hey, this person should die. It's gross exaggeration. I was just going, oh my God, yeah, that was absolutely understandable why I got banned. And I simply had no idea why I did at the time. I was just a complete dumbass.
So is that what sent you to Kiwi Farms?
Yeah.
Kiwi Farms is YouChew, but it's never grown up. It's like being in the general chat in YouChew, but the word filter's turned off.
It was a site categorizing the behaviors of odd people, I guess, eccentrics, sometimes benign, sometimes less than benign, gossip and stuff like that. I didn't really view it as harmful at the time.
There's not like an ideology to the forum just behind like a general sense of you should be allowed to go on the internet and with whatever language you please make fun of other people on the internet. That should be considered a fundamental human right.
The behavior expressed on the Kiwi Farms thread about the YouTube community is similar to what would go on YCP in private in people's individual friend groups. So I'm not surprised that that's the behavior that's showing up on the Kiwi Farms thread. Looking back on it, what a tempest in a teapot. People who were outcasts on YCP flocked to Kiwi Farms because they thought, we have this new community who might accept us. They're willing to tolerate some edginess. We just got vendettas. We all had vendettas against YCP. We just felt like we didn't fit in, but we still wanted a community to be a part of. We just didn't feel welcome anywhere else. We can air our grievances and show how we were treated unfairly. You guys, you get to hurl all sorts of abuse at people, and then just within the scope of a year or two, they all flipped. Insults that, you'd be expected to take in a jocular environment. Their politics became the sort of social justice-y, as outdated as that term is, Tumblr-like stuff where nobody can be offended ever. This is YouTube poop. It's irreverent. That really doesn't fit in with the culture. And I admit that I came from a somewhat encyclopedia dramatic-y, 4chan-y background when I joined YouChew, and I guess I just didn't fit in partially for that reason. Over the course of 2013 and 2014, they kind of became insufferable with it. Basically unable to take a joke about anything. The top clique of YouChew, the mods, the admins and their friends, the people who I would call the cool kids, Tubble, Negro Ted, Mushrooms, Rockdo, Ride the Catfish, Probo.
Have you read your thread on Kiwi Farms?
Yes, and it's just like the same 3 or 4 people. Malk's kinda cringe, or Malk's too on the nose about their politics. And I don't really care about my Kiwi Farms thread. It's like 2 pages, nobody uses it. I showed the Kiwi Farms thread to, my brother and my sister, and we all just had a pretty good laugh at it.
Who do you think Vought is?
I think, Vought's Taco Wiz.
Who was Taco Wiz?
He's also another, forum member on YCP that never really fit in. I became friends with him on both Discord and Facebook close to about 10 years ago. Eventually, I started having more and more political disagreements with Taco Wiz, and Taco Wiz is like, wow, you're, too woke.
Neither of you were more or less right. It would be topic to topic. You both thought you were right.
Yeah, basically. That's kind of how most of my online interactions are.
Who's in the YouChew thread?
It was primarily people who were from YouChew, feeding information to them, or had been banned from YouChew, or really had problems with their community. Vertex Windy, who was Mr. Toes on YCP, In Living Tuna, and TVB Robotnik were close friends of mine. Saxton Hale was Retrospections. And of course, what I would assume to be numerous alts of Duango, who you mentioned, like turkey beef, blacks, Jewish culture. I don't know. He might have been Max Headroom or Pepsi Man or whatever. Schwackoff, that was somebody that I was also suspecting of being a Duango sock. It seems to me like they'd be the same person. But at the same time, I have no idea if they are or not. I haven't looked at that thread in years.
I don't know if it's anybody that I knew back in YouChew, or if it's just Duango posting as another alt. He just has like about 10 different accounts on the forum or whatever.
He would like create multiple accounts on Kiwi Farms and crap like that to get around getting banned from Kiwi Farms because they were annoyed with him being obsessed with trans people and A-logging them. Dude, take the hint. It's pretty obvious to spot him because he behaves the exact same way every time.
Black said, "Hoip Central pederast on Suicide Watch. Cry some more, child tranny groomers."
Oh my fucking god. That's weaning.
Weaning?
A term from Kiwi Farms. Weaning or weens, people who engage in trolling that just falls flat on its face because everybody's done it before. I consider the whole website to have become weens themselves. If it walks like Duango, it looks like Duango, and it quacks like Duango, then it's Duango. That's how we basically operated.
The guy that initially commissioned that essay was Duango, sadly.
No way.
Like, he wanted... Yeah! So he could just point to somebody and say, oh, Super Yoshi didn't invent it.
Wow.
He was one of my Facebook friends for a little while, but the thing is he was actually leaking a lot of my Facebook posts onto, onto like his private Discord server and eventually the Kiwi Farms.
When I asked Turkey Beef about this, they denied it. It should be noted that Hoyp gave this interview on April 14th of this year, and Lieberman's on June 19th. On November 23rd, a thread was opened by Null, the owner of Kiwi Farms, discussing what to do about these accusations. On November 25th, a locale thread was opened, documenting much of Turkey Beef's internet usage. The accounts in question were merged under Turkey Beef's original internet handle, Red Lenses 2112.
Why would Duango be so invested in this?
I have no clue, to be honest with you.
I think at this point he genuinely enjoys it.
His justification are the dead former YouChew members whose suicides he blames on the toxicity on the website. And so by stalking the former members of YouChew, he is preventing future grooming and suicide.
Yeah, he actually is not helping. Somebody he mentioned was Rockdo. Rockdo was a mod on YouChew.
From 2012 to 2016, Radok and Rockdo harassed me on the internet. But specifically, they targeted me on platforms that were otherwise not connected to YouTube. They targeted me on my personal Facebook. They targeted me on my Last.fm artist page. They targeted me on my school email and my personal email, and eventually they tried to target me at my workplace. Initially, this harassment was relatively lighthearted. It's just standard YouTube trolling, stuff like that. But eventually, it just just built up into death threats. Everywhere that I turned, Radok and Rockter were always there to grief me.
Do you know why Rockdo committed suicide?
I can only speculate about what happened to Rockdo, and it's something that does weigh heavily on me. It's like, I don't know if I was in some way responsible for that. As soon as the harassment stopped, it's like, okay, I'm not going to hear from this person again, but were they only harassing me because they were in so much pain? Were they just trauma to me that had been inflicted upon them? It's that sort of thing that makes you feel, you know?
Is there anyone else?
Clogged One. He was somebody who, in the early days of YCP, performed a direct denial of service attack on the site as prank. And he was, considered to be ultimate enemy number one. But when I got to know him, I was just going, they're mad at this guy? And yeah, he did have pretty bad depression. I'm not going to lie about that. He would express suicidal ideation at times. I hadn't heard anything from him in a long while. I had found an obituary website with his name on it. I was just going, oh my God, I had no idea. My friends and I, we were always a shoulder for him to cry on. So when I heard about that, I was just going, oh my God, this is just terrible. I miss him. I really do.
Do you think someone's killed themselves over YouChew?
I don't think so, not directly at least. Thank God.
It's no wonder why the community just always has nonstop drama and constantly implodes, because if it weren't for these weird specific videos, then there's no way on earth that all of these people would be unified doing anything else together. There's no real centralized hub for YouTube poop anymore. If you think about the medium, it's probably never meant to be centralized, simply because it goes against the entire idea of what these videos are about.